Hello, everybody. Welcome to the National Parents Union Nightly Restorative Check-In. I am your host, Marisol Quevedo Rerucha. Today is Monday. Happy August. Today is August 3rd. As always, I am the very proud mother of Camerina, Emilia, and Sofia. I am the daughter of Irma and Avran. I am the grandmother to Isabela Luna and Cynthia Iliana. And I'm the granddaughter of Camerina, Alejandro, Francisco, and Carmen. Thank you for allowing me that time for that introduction and to invite both my ancestors and my present relatives, my present family, and our future ancestors into the conversation. I also am the wife of Daniel. I cannot forget him. So it is always, it's always an honor to be with you, and it's an honor to represent them. So thank you for that. So we always do what's called a 4-7-8 breathing technique. And again, this was, I think almost every show, I remind you that Dr. Anjali is the person who taught it to me. And Dr. Anjali also has a show with us. She takes over the Friday show for the Nightly Restorative Check-In. And so I hope that you were able to catch her last Friday and that you will join me on Wednesdays. So I'm here Mondays and Wednesdays. This week, I'm talking to two, oops, sorry. I'm talking to two amazing women. Today we have Kelly Williams-Bolar with us, who is with the National Parents Union and who has her own show. And so hopefully she will talk to us about that. And on Wednesday, we'll be talking to Yoli Collier, who is a really beautiful human being who has been working with girls in the juvenile justice system. So she works at what's called the Girls Rehabilitation Facility and has been doing that for many years. So I'm excited about the conversation. As always, what I tell my guests is we're gonna talk about who you are and how you are. And so, and then Anjali's show will be on Friday. So before we get started, we are gonna do our 4-7-8 breathing technique. So we inhale for 4 seconds, we hold for 7, and then we release for 8. And I will do the countdown for us. So we do that 4 times. My guests, other people who watch the show say that it really helps helps them release the day and be able to focus and come into a really beautiful space to really enjoy the conversation that we have. So if you could please, I like to have my feet planted firmly on the ground, your hands gently on your lap, and if you could just take a breath out and inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for doing that technique with me. And I hope that you can continue doing that technique. It's really great to do one today. So hopefully you're doing it on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturday, and Sunday when we're not on. And you can use this at any time of day. So with that, I would like to introduce our guest for tonight, Kelly Williams-Bolar.
Unmute, and I am sideways. Is that better? Hi.
I am so happy that you're with us. Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. I love your technique. I was trying it. I felt like I was gonna at the number 8. I would always like, so I had to try to make myself. But I love that. I'm definitely going to try it from now on every night.
Yeah, it takes a while to get used to that flow, and that releasing for 8. It takes practice, but once you get the hold of it, it really helps you relax. And Dr. Anjali recommends doing it also, like if you wake up in the middle of the night and you have a hard time going back to sleep. But it takes practice, which is why I do the counting, because that way. So when I do the practice, I put my timer on, and that way I know that I have enough time to hit through and go through it all the way. But it can be hard. I struggle with it, just like you were saying, like at that 8 point, I struggle with it. So
Yeah.
Kelley, if you could please introduce yourself to our guest, if you could tell us anything that you would like to share about yourself, who you are, what you do in the world, your passions, about your family, anything that you would like to share. And that will be the basis of our conversation.
Okay. I am Williams-Bolar. I'm from Akron, Ohio. I'm a mom. I'm a divorcee. I've been alone and single, oh my God, for a very long time now. I like to be, I love being at home, and I just love being around my family. But, a few years ago, I got put into a situation where I had gotten my divorce, and I wanted my kids to have the best, and I wanted them to be safe. So I enrolled them in my parents' school district. Now, even before this, I had always been an advocate for children, and just, making sure children are safer and safely educated. So what this did was it basically catapulted me into another whole realm, because what happened was I ended up going to jail because I had enrolled my kids into my parents' school district. Mind you, when they asked me to remove the kids, I did. We tried to get something called first, let me go back. We tried to get something called the grandparent power of attorney. Well, we were successful. We were able to get it, but they didn't want us to have it. So that June, the judge.
Is it they being the school district?
The school district, yes.
So the
yes.
school district took you to court?
Yes. And they took me to court twice because they did not want us to have the grandparent power of attorney. They knew by law, they do accept it. But they didn't want us to have it. So they went back to the judge. The judge sent me a letter like in June, just telling me, you know what, just remove the kids. They are fighting against this, just remove the kids. So I did. 18 months go by. Now, mind you, my kids were not in the district. Because so many people always say, why didn't you remove the kids? We did. But, so we removed the kids. And 18 months later, me and my father both received an indictment. Ohio versus Kelly Williams-Bolar, and Ohio versus Edward L. Williams. And that's the process that began. I go to jail. I was sentenced to 10 days in the county, but I served 9 of the 10. I had 70 hours of community service. I had to do biblical counseling. I had to check in every single month to make sure I would not leave the country, which I didn't have it. Why would they think that? So I was on probation for 3 years. It was just a lot of things, being fingerprinted, having mug shots, things I had never had to go through ever. Did I do everything right? No, I did not do everything right. And I know I didn't do everything right, but I was looking out for the safety and the benefit of my children. I wasn't trying to steal an education. That's what they said. It was tampering with documents and grand theft. So, so that's just one of the things. Are you going to say something?
I am just so shocked, and I am shocked, and I shouldn't be, and I'm upset, because I was an educator, I was a principal, I was a director. I would never, ever imagine that a system would want to harm a family that way. Educators, like even though we don't take an oath, like doctors take a Hippocratic oath to do no harm, and we don't take an oath like that. It's such, like, I really believe in that moral responsibility that we have. And to waste resources on a family that is trying nothing but to provide the best education. And that also, so that tells me that your system was not addressing the inequities that exist in your system.
That's right.
So you went to the place, like everyone's gonna fight for their kid. Everybody.
Absolutely.
And the amount of jail time that you did, and I'm thinking about that case of the, you know, all of the super rich people and the, you know, that lied. And I mean, but lied and cheated, like cheated to get into colleges, cheated to get into colleges. And Kelly, I'm gonna be honest with you. I know a lot of people that claim that they live somewhere else to go to school of their choice. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna tell you right now. My mother did that. We used the address, my entire elementary school, so that she could get us into a different program.
People do it all the time. Do you know, even though I got caught, I had my friends, my associates that I knew, they continue, and I know they were on a prayer every night. I know they thought, she's going to tell, she doesn't want to, you know, go down all by herself. But I never said anything because that was not my place. I would never tell, because all they wanted was the best for their kids as well. Yep. So I never, ever, ever told.
Why were they after you? Why were they after you?
Well, we always thought, my father always thought it was deeper than just that. He always thought it had to do something with his property. You know, he had property there, he had his house there, and he just thought that they were just after even more things. I mean, like, I wish he was still alive, because he definitely would be able to tell you all of it. He thought it was bigger than that, and that I just got caught into the entwine of it. You know, so I don't know exactly. But that's one of the major things that I advocate into. And people don't know, I used to have a daycare center when I was like super young. And my daycare was called the Academy of Early Learning, because I was such an adamant person. This is way before I even had my second daughter. But I was such an adamant, I wanted my kids and others to just have so much of a head start in being prepared for adulthood. So, but all this did was just catapult me into another whole realm that I never even imagined. And, you know, sometimes you just wonder, and you just have to understand faith and just know that it's higher than what you're seeing, what you're visually seeing at that moment. You know, you have to just know that without a shadow of a doubt that God is using you, not just for me. I was a vein for so many moms and dads and guardians and grandparents. I was just a vein for justice for them. And so that's why if I have an opportunity and someone reaches out to me and they say, hey, can you come and speak? Can you do, you know, I'm there, because I care just that much, that I want children to be safe and educated. So that's one thing. You said, now you mentioned so of course I love, you know, my downtime, I love to do little things like travel to do little cooking shows. So I did a show on Nailed It, and it was season 2, episode 5. And that was an experience I had never, ever had to do. That was so much fun. And I was so mad because I had lost. And let me tell you, what I wanted to do was.
So really quick, that's a baking show on Netflix, right?
Yes.
So it's a baking show, and Nailed It, if I remember correctly, because I didn't watch, but I think I might have watched one episode. It's like, you know, these beautiful pictures, that the Pinterest pictures that people see. So it's like having some beautiful picture and then like what actually comes out, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
And it didn't never come out right. I'm shocked. I won the first round, which I was surprised. First of all, it was with a watermelon, and I've never cut a watermelon a day in my life. I never eat, and I never liked the smell of watermelon. So I was shocked that the first round, the first thing we had to do was carve a watermelon into an owl. So mine was an owl, and then everyone else's was something else. So we had to mimic this. Was it an owl? Yeah, it was an owl. It's been too long. And that was just a couple years ago, though. So I did it, and I won the first round. But the second round, you had to do a cobra snake, and it was made out of a cake. And I totally screwed that all the way up. I mean, it's hilarious to look back on it now. Oh my God, I was so mad because I wanted some of the money to go to the oh God, what is his name? He has a commercial. He used to be a big time actor. His children were actors, and he has a show, and he dedicates he gives a lot of his proceeds to children who have cancer. And I know yes. And so if I had, because that's what I definitely give to them whenever I have extra money. So I wanted to be able to give them so much percentage of the money I would have won, but I didn't win.
One of them was like St. Jude's Hospital was
St.
one
Jude.
that had, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they do phenomenal work. Phenomenal work. So, okay, so how many years ago was this incident that you went to jail for wanting to have a high quality education for your kids?
It's been 9 years now.
9 years.
9 years.
And then a couple of years ago, you did this travel show. So what has been your trajectory now? So you mentioned a little bit that people ask you to go and speak, but did that, what happened in the educational system, did that like catapult you into educational advocacy? Or what is the work that you're doing now?
So I can say it did. Yeah, it did catapult me into advocacy work. I always had that passion, and somewhere maybe I manifested this. I don't know, because I've always seen myself speaking and talking and not not to this magnitude, not traveling the country, but just definitely inspiring our youth and our young women and young moms and different things of that nature. So when this happened, next thing I know, people, the Bushes reached out to me. Jeb Bush from Florida, the governor, I've done a couple of different documentaries that I was a cameo in, not, like it wasn't, the whole documentary was not solely about me, but I was, a part of it. And they were both on Netflix, which that was ironic as well, So, and Netflix takes a lot of documentaries in. And so, but yeah, I never thought that I would be speaking so much. Like, about a few months back, I got caught. This was supposed to be in Florida. But when all this COVID stuff happened, it pushed everything back, all my speaking engagements and everything. Well, the one was about sex trafficking, abducting children, missing children. And the name of that was called Rescuing Our Children 2020. Well, they had to push it back. So luckily they went on and did it. They just said, hey, we got to do it, because they had invested a lot of time and a lot of resources into it. So they just went on and did it. And I was there last week for a good portion. I was there for like 4 days. Just got back yesterday, totally tired, because it was packed with so much information. But see, that's the beauty of it, is that I'm under the umbrella of kids, period. So it doesn't matter if it's, missing children or sex trafficking, or, or just academically, I'm passionate about everything. It just hurts my heart to see that a child will get misused in such a way,
Yeah, we live in, I live in San Diego, and it's something that it's really very shocking to me that it's something that we really don't know about or talk about, but we have a very high sex trafficking of minors, a high percentage. And there was and it's something that I think that that we should know in schools. And so I think that was surprising to me, that it wasn't until I went to the county office of ed and was invited, they brought in, there was an entire department that works on this that presented to us, but we have a very high percentage here, and it's because of tourism.
Yeah.
It's because, some of the questions were like, is it the military? Because we have the Navy here, we have the Marine base, but really it's because of tourism. And so that was learning for me. And a lot of the recruitment can happen at schools, and so I think the awareness is what's really, really important. It's just critical, because our children, It's, you know, especially our most vulnerable children.
I heard that when I was sitting in on some of the lecturing before the night before I was to speak, and they were saying that kids at the schools, it can happen at the schools. The schools a lot of times are involved in that. It just blew my mind. They also was going on telling the stats on that. It was like over 800,000. It's more than that. It's like 800,000+ a year that kids end up missing, and 200,000 is in sex trafficking. So you break that down, it's 2,000 per day. That means somewhere in my life that I was somewhere in a parking lot, at a grocery store, at Target, and there was a child that had been taken. And it had to be. If those numbers is that tragically high, then I had to be somewhere around and somewhere where that was happening.
Well, and you know, and that's not something that we talk about. It's not something, there's no public, really, like public campaigns about it. You know, every once in a while, I was traveling a lot as well. Every once in a while, I would be at an airport, and maybe a couple times, I would say, so this is very, I think it was much more, but I'm just going to say, I maybe did 30 round trips last year. I think maybe twice in the bathroom, I saw a sign that said, like, if you need help, call this number.
Wow.
Or and you know, because, and I also would take the train a lot because I was doing some work up in LA, never saw anything on the train. And that was part of the, you know, the teaching from the women who were working here in San Diego was like what signs to look for. And they say that, you know, airline employees are train employees to see the signs of potentially of somebody who may be being moved through those modes of transportation. But I think the more that we can get the public to know, then,
and we need to have a full month, like we do with so many different things now. We need to have a full month just dedicated, have a ribbon, maybe have the ribbon be pink and blue, and then have this ribbon we wear every single week, or some kind of bracelet to keep us aware of what's going on with our surroundings, and making awareness that this is happening to our children across the globe. But I mean, here in the United States, it's just like, we should have better resources, and the resources are not there, because those numbers are ridiculous.
So aside from this work, so that was more of they heard about you and they wanted you to come speak, but what other, are there any other, I guess, movements that you're championing?
Any other movements? I mean, and a week ago, oh my God, it was really, really special. About a week and a half ago, I get an inbox, an email from a young man who's in his mid-20s. He's in college. He's getting ready to go off to he's in law school, actually. He's a junior in law school. And he said that he's an alumni of the Copley School, the Copley Fairlawn City School. And he said, well, we're going to do a rally, we're going to do a march, and we got some demands. They wanted some demands in regards to their community. One was to remove, they have an Indian as a mascot. They wanted that removed. They wanted more diverse in their schools. They don't have anyone of color, period, inside of their schools. It's like a total of 3. And so this is their numbers. They have 2,955 student body. They have 187 teachers. They have 5 schools, 3 primary, 1 middle school, and 1 high school. Okay, so you look at this now. I break it down and I look at the statistics for the minorities. So as far as the blacks, it's 13% black, 75% white, 2% Hispanic, and then you had like 3% Asian, and then Island Pacific, and that was very small. Now, the issue that the gentleman, reason why he had come to me, because he wanted to know would I come there and speak, and I was like, oh yeah, so let me go do my research. Now, mind you, this is a school that had me indicted, but this is a cause. So some people was like, oh, you're gonna go? Yeah, I'm going to go, because this is about the kids, and this is the things that's going on now. And these are the issues that they're having, and they wouldn't reach out to me if they didn't think that I could bring awareness to what's going on. So It's not me. This is like all God. This is all God that does this. If somebody needs my name, if they need me somewhere, I'm there if I can possibly be there. It's not me. It's always through God. So anyway, so that was some of the demands. So I was giving you the numbers. So looking at the numbers, it was 13% Black and 75% white. Well, the disciplinary, when the kids got suspended, and now mind you, this is something they have to turn in every single year. It was 43% Black and 45% white. Disproportional to a degree I don't even know how to even, and the same scenario with the AP courses and with the gifted classes, it was only 3% Blacks, like
Wow.
but 80% white in the AP and gifted classes. So the thing of it is, they cannot say that they're so diverse and they just do. No, you're not, because your numbers, you have to report these things to the state every year. Now, mind you, the school year had to come to an abrupt end. So imagine if it had been a regular school year. It would have been, the numbers would have been outrageous. So the young gentleman asked me to come. I come, I speak, I tell that, I just regurgitate everything I just told to you. And I thought that was awesome that I was able to go back on the soil. Now I'm sure they were mad. I know the superintendent and them, they were not happy. But the whole thing of it was, if you had done right and had more diverse teachers there, because everyone has their own, we have cultures within cultures within cultures.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
get some people in there that's going to identify with the kids. There's nothing wrong with having more Blacks that's licensed, that's certified. There's nothing wrong with having more Hispanics. There's nothing wrong with having more Asians. Have more teachers in there that want to teach the kids. And then you don't have to worry about maybe the teachers not understanding our kids and suspending them at a higher rate that they should. So that's the thing. Go ahead.
How did they receive that? How was your message received?
They loved it. When I was there, and I was presently there, and they had all the people, it was like 300 people that showed up, and everyone there seemed like they were engaged. It seemed like they were very receptive of me, but and then they did a big write-up, and then someone rebutted that, this man who does not like me anyway, because he's from that area. People don't know that. They think that this man he's from that area. So anytime my name is relevant, they feel like they have to get this man to write a horrible article about me. So he writes, well, she did this wrong and she did that wrong. Okay. Nobody said, I never said that I was perfect in getting my kids there, into that school district. But at the end of the day, we all know that it was for the benefit of my children. I wasn't embezzling some bank. I don't know. I wasn't doing something crazy. All I did was say that my kids lived with my father. You see, with my parents. That's all I did. So he can blow it up. And they know how. Some people can write up something and they know how to make it where it sounds like it's just, crazy. And it wasn't that,
stealing resources for the children that are there from the taxes that they pay.
Right.
Yeah.
Never mind, my father had his own property and a house there that he lived in for 20 years. Never mind that he paid tax. You see?
Yeah. So I want to ask you another question, but I do want to go back because I feel like I just didn't go through enough. So if anybody, I want to go back to the previous speaking engagement that you had at the Raising Our Children or Rescuing Our Children conference. If anybody wanted to get more involved or to get more information about child sex trafficking and some of the data that you shared about, or if they want to get involved, do you remember the names of any of the organizations?
I know they can text 501-555. And one of the major agencies is Florida Alliance. And yeah, I think that's it. Florida Alliance, maybe it's Florida Alliance of Children or something like that. But they were really one of the people who promoted this whole event.
But I'm sure they can look up the Rescuing Our Children website, that conference, And
Absolutely.
in that conference, because usually there's lots of information, there'll be the names of presenters there. There could be other partner organizations on there, but that would be a really good place to start. Because
Absolutely.
I didn't want to just leave that conversation and be like, oh, sex trafficking sucks. Like, that's really bad. Somebody should do something about it and move on. So I apologize for that. But I wanted to get the information out to people that want to know more.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you're 100% right. Yeah, it's Rescuing Our Children 2020, and they can look that up. The full event, I think it was, like I said, it was 2-3 day event. It's on YouTube. You can watch it, and you know, and if you can get involved or help, or if you just want to know more, if you want to know what to look for. I mean, they were even saying, you know, as far as things that's on television, or even the games that these kids play. You know, like the young boys, because young boys are playing these games, violent games, and as early as 10 or 11 years old. And I guess they can talk to people that have these earpieces, and while they're playing the game, they're talking to adults. And adults are, you know, they can persuade these kids into, next thing you know, going somewhere and meeting them. I was so surprised, you know, that these kind of things happen so easily.
It was very hard to watch, but the Jeffrey Epstein documentary that is on Netflix as well, you see how he and his partner, who was a woman, used girls to recruit other girls. Mm-hmm. And they become victims as well, because we're talking about kids that are 14, 15, 16 years old. Yeah. And, you know, being used to bring in other people. So it's an example of how really these really psychopathic minds work to destroy our children, to get their sexual needs met. And the way that they methodically do it, and they targeted, which is also, the ones that get targeted are vulnerable kids. Mm-hmm. So they're kids usually in a lower income area. The Jeffrey Epstein, what was, you know, a lot of the victims were white, but they were in a lower income area. He was very rich. And they were being recruited by people their age that were in school with them. And here in San Diego, there was a case a few years ago, really huge sex ring that was broken up, and it was in the high schools. It's in a couple of the high schools in East County. And it's, again, you know, other young women being used to recruit. So it is something that, and I know I had a guest on, Brian Glassroot, a couple of weeks ago. I don't think it might have been last week, but he talked about work that's being done. He's working with a nonprofit here in San Diego, and he was able to get them some grant monies to continue doing their work. But it's something that's, just you mentioning that and knowing that, I think it's something that we need to continue talking about, and continue seeing what we can do. But I think awareness is the first step. The awareness that this is happening, the numbers, like you said, those devastating numbers, and then we can go into action, because it's not just about rescuing our kids, it's about protecting our kids.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I want to say real quick, and it was just so ironic, like literally 2 weeks ago, I was just on my social media, and I noticed these people, they were like burning down a house. I don't know if you saw that. They were burning down a house. They were like neighbors. They were like just people in the community, and they had the whole street, you know, just a whole bunch of people just in the middle of the street, and they're burning down this house. And then what happened was, they had kids, and no one was in there at the time, but that's the house that they had told the police. They said there's a sex ring going on in there, something's going on, and the police didn't do anything about it. So they just went in and they burnt that house all the way down to the ground. They were so upset. No one was in there. The kids were gone, but they knew that was like that was one of the resources that people were using to get kids to wherever else they were going to take them. So just that in itself, just being aware and paying attention to your neighborhood and the houses, and especially like abandoned houses and things that, you know, no one should be there. You know, those are just extra clues to say something's not right, you know, in your neighborhood.
I think, again, the awareness, the awareness of like, so in the Jeffrey Epstein documentary, like some of the neighbors and the police talked about, they were saying like young women were in and out all day long, all day long, all day long, very noticeably. Young women in and out all day, throughout the entire day. And then the island that he had, young women, like he was known for having, and when I say young, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. And there were also up to, you know, early 20s, but from like babies to young women, in and out all day long. And, you know, I think there's, you know, we can look up the, you know, like a sexual predator, or, you know, you can look up who in your neighborhood. And that's it. Like, that's a little bit different than these actual organized rings.
Yes.
That are like, it seems almost like we have more awareness of that, like to go on a database and look up who in your neighborhood, you know, may have committed, you know, sex crimes, or, you know, have that. But we're talking about this organized ring that is devastating millions of young lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was going to say something, but I'm getting old because I forgot what I was going to Maybe I'll come back to it later. I don't know.
Well, so what I wanted to know before we go, I want to thank you so much for sharing your story, but I also want to know, like, how are you doing? Because my friend, this is a lot. This is a lot. Where you have been in your life, what you have experienced. And I feel like we didn't even scratch any kind of surface. Like, it was just very, very topical. But how are you doing in life?
I think I'm doing better now. It takes a lot of healing. And then a lot of times when you think you're healed, you have so much more healing to go. I had some serious issues, just trying to keep sane, honestly. I went through a dark time, a very deep depression, and I just had to always continuously understand, listen, this happened to help other people. You are here to give service. You're here. Why are we here? I'm here to help other individuals, not just, you know, you get so wrapped up in your life and just trying to make it from A to B, you know, and so on and so forth. But it's when something like this happens, so traumatic, and I went through a depression. I went and had my dark days and wouldn't eat, barely fix my kids' dinner because of all of this, just always rethinking what happened. Well, I could have did this. I should have did that. Why didn't I do this? I should have did it this way, you know, and just constantly, you know, beating yourself up. And then after a while, it's a moment in time that you just have to say, just take a woosah and say, listen, I'm praying to God. What is it that you need me to do? I want to do it. I want to serve you. Now, what got me through was 3 major Psalms. I mean, many things got me through. My family, you know, my friends, me working. I work at a high school. I work with children with behavior disabilities. So when they have an issue, or when they decide to have a flare up and get angry, I know how to redirect their thinking. I wish I had knew that when I was married. I might have still been married. But you know, yeah, so I was able to do that with them. So that's another thing. But the Psalms I want to talk about, because it was 3 Psalms, 91st Psalm, the 27th Psalm, and my 23rd Psalm. Literally, I say those Psalms right now, even every day. From the moment, the day before I had ever stepped into the courtroom, a pastor told me, he said, these are the Psalms you will need to read every day. And he told me it was 91, 27, and 23. And so I have been reading them. And let me tell you something. You talk about arm and shield and buckler. I mean, like, it keeps me strong. The word keeps me strong.
Do you happen to have them close by, or do you have them memorized so you could read one of them to us?
I can always, you know how I do it, like when I'm reading it, like when I'm listening to it, I'm right there, and I can regurgitate everything it says. But I mean, the 23rd Psalm, which the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Though I walk through the valley shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou prepare for table in the presence of my enemies. I can't remember the rest. But those are so strong. to me.
Mm-hmm.
I love them. The
Mm-hmm.
one, it always says you have 10,000 on one side and you have 10,000 on one side and 10 more thousand on the right hand, but none shall come nigh thee, because like no, your enemies cannot touch you. You know, you have to know without a shadow of a doubt that the only person that has the highest power is God. He is. I have people that want to, you know, not people, it's really just a few that I know about, that are like writers and stuff, and they write mean things about me.
Mm-hmm.
But I know, and I take it, what I do is I take that information, because I get Google Alert. And Google Alert let me know with anyone across locally, nationally, or globally, if they write about me, I'm the first one to see it. 5 o'clock in the morning, I check my phone, I get a Google Alert. There's the article. So I have to take whatever arrows that they're throwing that they consider ammunition. When I have to redirect my thinking and say, these are all blessings that they're throwing at me.
Mm-hmm.
These are all blessings, and I have to always keep that in my mind, that in my psyche, that these are all blessings that are coming to me. Because if I don't, I mean, I would just totally crack up. You know, I would have some major issues. And I want to mention something that was so spiritual to me. You ever heard of ink spots?
No.
Okay, so when I was going through this deep depression, I remember my mom called the attorney that was helping me get through this. He was the one that was involved with the governor of Ohio, and they were trying to get my things reduced, my felonies reduced or taken away, expunged. So there was the attorney knew the CEO of Cleveland Clinic. They had went to college together. Him, Obama, and my attorney all went to college together. They all knew each other. So anyway, so I go there. They're going to run a battery of tests on me. These are all the first part of the morning. They do this test where they get into your mind. Do you want to hurt yourself? Do you? And they say the exact same thing 100 times, but
Mm-hmm.
it's in different forms.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, do you want to hurt someone else? And then they say that 100 times in different forms. So that went on the first part of the morning. The second half of the morning, I came back, second half of the morning, I go into his office, because the first part was like all paperwork. The second part, I go into his office. It's this big, long lounge chair, just like how they do in the movies. It was big, long lounge chair. And I was, you know, on this chair like, oh, okay. It was kind of cool. But so he showed me these cards, and they're ink spot cards. So that means that all they do is take stuff on there and just splatter it on there, and you look at it. Do you know? Okay, so I'll say, I can't remember exactly, but I'll say maybe it was 20 that they gave me. So first start looking through them. Maybe I might have seen a little turtle. I might have seen a rabbit, you know, little animals, little cute little animals. But it got so deep where after a while, every one of them, when I would open it, they were angels. And there were archangels, just all kind of angels, falling angels, angels with super long beards, and they were unholding. One angel was holding a Bible. You could just see him, and I mean, someone with huge angels, and I mean, it was. And some angels were tiny, but you could see so many angels. And now, mind you, he. Because I told him, I said, how did you do this? Because they look so real. I said, how did you do this? How were you able to get them on there? And so he was like, let me see. And I showed him. I was like, I don't know what, he probably didn't see not one angel, but I did. And he looked at me and he asked me, he said, are you religious? And I looked at him and I said, well, I like to think I am. I mean, I believe in God, and I might not go to church every Sunday, you know, but I might not go for 3 months, you know, but I definitely have a faith. You know, I know that there's God. And so he was like, okay. And he told me, he said, I just want to tell you one thing. Because, you know, we're in Ohio and we've had some pretty big high profile cases, one being Jeffrey Dahmer. So he said, I've done this with Jeffrey Dahmer. He said, I've done this with, he names a couple other people, but I'm just saying that's one I can think of right now that I know you would know. And he said, no one has ever said they see angels. I was like, I don't know. Maybe that's God just telling me he got me. I'm going to be okay.
Yeah, because it's a psychological test that they use. And
yes.
the ink splatters are supposed to represent, the ink spots are supposed to represent like what you like really believe.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
so the symbols are representative of like your most innermost thoughts, of your innermost heart, of your innermost beliefs. And
Yes.
so for you to see them. So my question to you so you know, and you feel that you are here to do God's work. You're here to answer the call. What would you say is the core of that work? What is the gift that you have that is needed? So when you get those calls, you know?
I mean, honestly, many times I think people reach out to me because first of all, I think I'm identifiable. You see, I
like
think
relatable?
Yeah, that's the word, not identifiable. It's relatable. Yeah, so that's it.
The police identified you.
You're right. Yeah, they knew exactly who I was. But no, yeah, I'm relatable, and I love to be able to connect with people. I think they feel that they know I'm authentic, I'm real. It's not about if I got this or I got that, if I have this the license or certifications and all that. That's all nothing. That's all nothing. Right. It's who you are as an individual, as a person. And I think people can relate to that. They know I'm just a mom. And you know how many people out here, I mean, don't take me wrong, being a mom is great.
Yeah.
But they know that I'm here. They know my passion. And I think they think, well, we can bring her here, and then we listen to her and they hear my whole story in its entirety. And I think that they that's what it is that they just like who I am. I'm not trying to give a facade.
Yeah, and I think also sharing that vulnerability, sharing your truth, and also being a messenger of faith.
And faith, absolutely. Oh yeah, and I love talking about that. And I don't know if people some people they get a little, I don't care. I'm gonna tell it because he is the one that got me through this.
So let's talk about your show a little bit. So when is your show? And what are the things that you talk about?
Okay, so my show is Mondays and Wednesdays. It's at 6 o'clock. It's a half-hour show. And I just talked to, oh my goodness, I've been doing this the whole entire, I've been doing it since the spring, maybe March, April. And I just talked to administrators, parents, grandparents, people that, just want to talk about our education or what's going on, how it looks, how it's going to look in the fall. That's really what I do.
And what's the name of your show?
And the name of my show is called The Parents Effect.
The Parents Effect. And that's one of our Facebook Live shows also.
Yes.
So with the Parents Union.
Yeah. Which just to have the National Parents Union, I'm so grateful to have this and this resource and be able to talk to people and connect with people. I've never thought I was a big time people person. Like I never thought I was, if you have to really know me for me to open up, and but this has given me something that I didn't know I had.
And you think it's the connecting with people, the pushing. So you get invited. So it's a different vibe to be invited somewhere to speak and share your story.
Yes.
And be able to share your truth and like the things that we talked about. So share your story, be vulnerable, be a messenger. Like I really think that part of your work is being a messenger and talking about your connection with God. But that's a different vibe than actually sitting down and interviewing and pulling stories and connecting with people.
Yes, it is. It's two different things.
Still, yeah.
Separately, yes. When people ask me, because normally I got to get myself, that's a whole different level of trying to get my mind right, because more likely it's going to be hundreds and hundreds of people there, maybe thousands, maybe 1,000. So that's a lot of people. Of course, right now, since 2020 has happened and all the stuff, that. But prior to this, I mean, I was speaking. You got to get some nerve up to be able to go out there and do it. But my passion and my cause, I'm going to do it because I know that people need to hear whatever it is that's going to come out. And I might not say it. I know my journey. I know what happened to me. But what I'm saying is that everything doesn't come out exactly the same every single time that I do this, you know. Hopefully I try to get all of what happened to me, but then there's messages that you get that you say, I need to say this because someone here for some reason may need to hear this. And then, like you said, and then when you're just doing when I'm just on my Zoom and I'm doing my interviews, that's a whole different vibe, and I'm more comfortable, and, you know, I'm sitting here in the comfort of my home and just taking it, you know, that's a little bit different, a lot different.
So I have just one more question before we go. And I really am just very interested in the story of your parents, and just a little bit of what you shared. They sound like they're just really amazing human beings. And I know it sounds like your dad passed, but if you could just tell us about your parents and your relationship with them.
Okay, so my dad, his name's Edward L. Williams, and my mom, she's Diana Williams, and they are wonderful. My mom, she's still with me. My father did pass away. He passed away behind all of this. I mean, he died shackled to a bed as if he was some murderer. And, you know, the system created this thing, you know, it gets so intense, and I get so emotional. I'm just I got to keep this right. So my parents are awesome. My father was an awesome man. He fought hard for his freedom, for my freedom, for us. And all he ever would have wanted to do was to keep our family together. For him to have died 100 miles away and me get a call. Now, mind you, this man was always in my life. Every day at lunchtime, I was at their house visiting them. And we got bad weather here in the winter. I will always go to their house every single day just to visit, just to sit with them. Because in my back of my mind, I know, you know, we all know, you know, time goes on. You're not going to have that kind of time with your parents. So I wanted to make sure I was always around my parents. And yes, he did. So he passed away. He passed away in 2012, and my May 10th. And then my mom, she's so sweet and beautiful, and we live together now, you know, because wouldn't want her to be alone, you know, and then I'm divorced, so we just have our own little culture, our own little family here, and they are just the sweetest people. How I even got into education was through my mom. She worked at a mentally challenged school, you know, with children who had MRDD and Down syndrome and all these different things. And she would take me when I was a little bitty girl. Back then, you can take your kids with you to work. And I remember just walking through the halls and, you know, seeing they were adults, but you could tell, you know, you knew that they had issues. But they were my friends. And so, you know, I would see them and I wasn't scared or anything like that, because my mom taught me to be, you know, she gave me a lot of information. And so I was very comfortable being around the population of those individuals. So that just gives you a little bit of background about my parents. They were awesome. They loved strong, and they would help you if they could.
So now just tell me about your babies.
Okay. So I have two daughters, Kayla and Jada. Kayla is, oh my God, now I was just showing you how old I am. Kayla is 26 and Jada is 22. They are awesome kids. They're just trying to make their way to, you know, that young one, she gets me running sometimes. She can get me. But
who is the producer of our show? Hi, Jada.
I know, Jada.
And she does a phenomenal job. Yes.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. I'm so happy that I was able to get her, get her in with the National Parents Union. She's a bright girl. She has a huge future in front of her. If she can stay focused and on the prize, she's going to be dynamic. And, you know, I wanted to show you something. Can you see this?
I can see them. I don't know what it says, but I can see it.
This one here is my freedom paper. The governor gave me this long one here, and he had taken all my felonies off, and he was like, you know, like this. Yeah. So I keep this because this is serious for me.
Absolutely. And what are the other ones?
And the other ones are, this is the University of Akron. This was my Associate of Arts. This one from the University of Akron. Yeah, you can see it. And this was Outstanding Woman Student Award that I got this right here is the Black Alliance Education Options. I got an award with them. Outstanding Leadership Award. Oh, that's the National Parents Union right there. Yeah. and then this one here, this look at this. And this is also the National Parents Union. Isn't this beautiful?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't this beautiful? Oh my God. So when I got this, which was back when we went to New Orleans.
In January.
In January. Oh my God, man. This right here. This is so phenomenal. I just love it so much. Oh, my phone. I just love it so very much. So yeah. So these are my
beautiful.
Thank you so much. I just keep it to remind me to keep going, just to keep going.
And thank you for sharing that, because that's usually where, you know, when we have meetings, that's usually where you're standing. And I believe that your show, that's where you film your show also.
Yes.
So you have those, they're not just accolades, but those reminders of who you are and what you're capable of. And I think also, you know, grace and mercy, right? Like grace just really, really beautiful.
Absolutely. It's just, and it makes you, because, you know, when you get feedback, when you get pushback from people who are mean and stuff, it's like, well, wait a minute, this is not who I am though. So why is it that they want to be so hateful and mean? But then when I know that I didn't just get the Outstanding Women's Award from the University of Akron for nothing. You see, so I know that I'm not this person that they want other people to have that opinion of, you know. My parents raised me to be respectable. They raised me to be a good individual, and I stand by that.
Well, and I think just the way that you talk about, so part of the reality is that in life, there's the darkness and there's the light, right? And the darkness and people's darkness, and I think their pain, like that's just part of, I think, life. There are people that are not going to like you. There are people that may actively go after you. But what you control is how you perceive it. And what you control is how you respond to it. And by responding to it, the way that you described your response, like they're throwing these arrows at you, and you're like, that's a blessing, that's grace. You're responding with really true love. And again, those words, grace and mercy. And what I hope that is also part of the message that you share with people, because it really is like, we have options. We don't control what other people do. We don't control what other people say, but what we control is how we respond. What we control is how we perceive, and to perceive things from that lens of a blessing, and to perceive things, you know, and I can imagine that you pray for those people that, that are writing horrible things about you. Because, you know, and I think there's a part, you know, that knows that they're struggling with some darkness.
Absolutely.
And that's not what we want in this world, you know. That's not what we
want
in this
light.
World.
We want love and light.
I want to thank you for being love and for being light, and for some reminders and things that I'm going to take with me. I think, you know, I'm very fortunate to still have my parents, and I have my tia, my aunt, who helped raise me, and they're all in their 70s, upper 70s. Just that reminder about time, because, you know, I'm 46 and I've had them my entire life. My daughters are 26, 25, and 14, and they've had them, you know, their entire life. And I think sometimes we take for granted the time. And, you know, so I want to thank you for that reminder. And I want to thank you for sharing your parents with us, and for sharing your beautiful way of being. The message of love and light, it needs to continue. So I just thank you so much for the reminders. You were my blessing today.
Thank you. You're my blessing too. I just love listening to you anyway at night, right before, because it's 9 o'clock here when you come on. So it's right before we fall asleep. But I just want to say thank you so much, and I feel so honored that you want me on your program. This was awesome.
Absolutely, yes. I'm just sorry it took so long.
Yeah, right. I'll come back. Let me know when.
Yes, because I honestly, like, with some people, I feel like we get really, but you do so much. So yes, absolutely. We will absolutely have you come back on. Thank you again. I'm going to say goodnight to everybody from here, and I will see you on Wednesday. Yoli Collier will be with us, and then Friday is Anjali's show. So I'll find out who her guest is and let everybody know. Kelly, thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you always. And to all of our viewers, please know that you are loved for, and you are cared for, and you are prayed for. Take care. Cuídense. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.